So, Lorenzo, I'm going to talk to you about conversion copywriting, and this whole channel is about conversion rates, but I'm going to approach it from left field. I'm going to approach it from an angle that most brands would not have thought about, most marketers haven't thought about. I'm going to talk to you about something called Hero's Journey. Now, Hero's Journey is a story arc method that when researchers studied it, they actually realized, well, first of all, when researchers, what happened was when they studied, mythology, and mythology that goes thousands of years back, they looked at fables, they looked at stories, they looked at Greek mythology, Chinese mythology, all these different kind of cultural mythologies. And what they found was that even though the contents of the story were different, maybe in China, the details are different versus in Greece, what they found was all stories tend to follow a similar narrative. And that narrative is known as hero's journey. And the idea is you have this unlikely hero, and this hero is then sent on a quest. Sometimes on this quest, they meet a mentor or a guide, but they encounter a difficulty. And in this difficulty, they really fully realize who they are and they rise to the occasion. And this difficulty is a real challenge. It's not like a small obstacle. It's a pretty big obstacle, and they overcome it, and at the end of the story, that's the relief, is that they get to their final destination. So this is known as the hero's journey. It's a very effective storytelling technique, and Hollywood has made billions of dollars doing it. All Marvel movies are basically that same thing, where a hero meets an obstacle and then overcomes that obstacle. And it's actually something that I use in my copywriting a lot. And I believe I've almost never seen this on product pages, where this is a detail that is being expressed. Now, how do I know it works? Well, I know it works because we have lots of testing around it. But forget that. Even if we didn't have testing around it, the fact that it is in mythology, in stories, it's used so frequently, the fact that Hollywood is using it is evidence that it's working, right? And so I would challenge everyone to kind of incorporate this methodology in their product description. I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking like, hey, Rishi, I make an insulated cup. What kind of mythology what kind of hero's journey can you add to it? I would say you are wrong. I challenge you to go back on a piece of paper, start thinking about your product development process. Are you telling me that getting the insulation correct, you got it right on day one? Are you saying you had no production challenges? You had no returns that caused you to have to go back and re-engineer the product? You had no issues where the cup was leaking? I'm just picking one example. If there is anything I know about running businesses, because Lorenzo and I deal with lots of direct-to-consumer brands, there are almost unsurmountable challenges that they go through, and they overcome these challenges. So when I say hero's journey, for a direct-to-consumer brand, a hero's journey essentially is your product development process. So think about your product development process. Think about a part of that product development process that was that I think the most satisfying story is one where you think about your product development process for something that you thought would be super simple. Like, oh, we can have a 24-ounce cup. And you said, that's simple. And it turned out to be much harder than you thought. In fact, it needs to be so hard where you're like, I don't even know why the hell we're doing this. We should just give up on it. But something inside you said, let's keep on doing it. And you overcame that. Think about that story. And if you find something, then explain that on the product page itself. You'll be surprised at what kind of conversion impact it has. It's a very effective mechanism. And what it does is it invests the buyer. See, the thing is that my biggest fear as a direct-to-consumer brand, the biggest fear I have is not having my potential buyer think about me as a commodity. If I'm going to a website and if I'm buying an insulating cup and I'm thinking like insulating cups are all the same, if that is the mindset of the buyer, then I'm not going to win. The only way to win there is to have the lowest price product. So unless if you have the lowest price product, this is a real challenge. So if you want to break out of that mindset, you need to inject something in your story which invests me in that obstacle that you overcame, which actually increases the perceived value of the product that I'm buying. That's my tip. Lorenzo, what are your thoughts?
I just want to say two things. The first one is, this story framework has generated billions and billions of billions of dollars for the past 100 years to Disney, for every single cartoon and movie they have ever made in their career. So, you know, it makes sense. Like it's a same format over and over and over. So I totally like believe in it. The second thing I want to say is, if you're a founder in the process of business development, or you are not a founder but you work for a company that is in the process of business development, so creating a brand new product, okay, here's a quick advice: take photos of your prototypes and use those photos as a story to tell how different prototypes your product has gone through, to showcase. And this is like, maybe you, Rishi, want to talk about this because you're the genius of this idea in general, how your product has gone through a lot of different types of variations, and what decisions you've made at each version, and why you made those decisions. Rishi is the genius behind this idea, and I stole it right now.
No. I think that, thank you for bringing this up. And I want to actually, one of the things that Lorenzo and I do when we make these videos is, I had no idea Lorenzo would talk about this, and Lorenzo had no idea I would talk about Hero's Journey. And so we keep on building on top of that. I want to add one more thing to it, which I think is a really clever technique, is maintain a video diary. So the idea is you record every day, you say day 57, and just give a short summary of it. And then what you do is, when you finish the process, you go to your video editor and say, okay, I want you to like just pick from this few. You don't have to like do all days, but a few days. You can show a prototype on one day. You can talk about frustration. Like I feel hopeless because the consumer. Here's the thing, right? When you launch the product's already on the website. But if the consumer can feel your frustration along the way, it makes them really appreciate what they're no longer buying a commodity. I'm no longer buying a cup to keep my coffee hot. I'm actually buying something that was someone's life's work. I'm willing to pay a lot more for someone's life's work versus for a coffee cup to keep my coffee warm. Because if I'm buying a warm coffee, I know where to go. I can go to Amazon and I can buy the cheapest product.
100%. Love it. Great.
Awesome, guys. Well, tell us what you think about, here's the thing. If you're new to this channel, or if you've been watching our videos, thank you very much. We very much appreciate it. And you'll notice that, Lorenzo and I are talking about things that, this is what I would love to get your comments on. Do you find that this content we're talking about is stuff you've heard 100 times before? Is this what other conversion optimization channels are talking about? The reason we are creating this content is only because we feel that this is the kind of content that we would have loved 5 years ago when we were kind of trying to figure out, how to solve conversion problems. So please give us your feedback. We really want to understand if this is the kind of content that resonates with you. Subscribe, like the channel, share the channel as well. We will see you with another episode. Take care. Ciao.
Ciao.